All right, Wednesday, Crain and Company got a great show for you today. Got a ton to talk about. Want to make sure we get to the chat a lot today. We know a lot of y'all have been donating, have a lot of questions. Gonna lean heavy on you guys today. The phones open up 7:15 a.m. Central. That's 8:15 a.m. Eastern. We want to hear from you. May get to y'all a little bit early if we have time, but a loaded show. And also, Lady Ballers is now the #1 streaming movie in America.
Yeah, it is.
America.
#1's pretty good, right?
Absolutely.
So we're
insane.
It's better than Iron Man, basically.
Insane. I mean, Iron Man's one of the few Marvel's movies that I've really liked lately. Tony Stark's one of my favorites. But we appreciate all the support on that front, so let's get into it. The Heisman Trophy finalists have been announced. Governor Ron DeSantis proposes Florida State should sue the College Football Playoff Committee. I wonder who said that first. And we're going to preview some more of the top bowl matchups for 2023. I'm Jake Crain. It's Hump Day, and welcome to Crain and Company. Now, this Saturday, another Heisman Trophy will be handed out, most likely looking like it's going to be Jayden Daniels for LSU, and it's well-deserved. But to me, it opens up an avenue to another question and something that's been in the forefront of a lot of college football fans' minds here in the recent seasons. Should Jayden Daniels play in his bowl game? In the ReliaQuest Bowl against Wisconsin on a 9-3 LSU team that's not going to be able to win a championship. And we all know that his draft status has rocketed up and will continue to rocket up after he's given the Heisman Trophy. Now, listen, I'm as old school and as old-fashioned as it gets. That's why a lot of the changes in college football are a little bit abrupt to me, and not having rules in the NIL space and the transfer portal space is a problem. But when it comes down to today's bowl games and the way we look at it, sometimes opting out is the smart decision. Let's face it. Bowl games are not what they used to be when I was growing up, when we were growing up, where it was a reward at the end of the year for everyone, where you looked forward to playing the bowl games. Because number one, you got to see your team play another game, and also it was a matchup with another conference that you don't get to see a lot, even though the bowl tie-ins, I'm a little bit tired of those as well. I think you should just be able to pick whoever plays. But let's think about some of the backgrounds of these players. Most of them, if we're going to be honest, in certain situations, socioeconomically come from places that are not fantastic. They are the ones being relied on to be able to make it to the NFL so everybody can win. If you've worked your whole life, beat the odds, and have the small opportunity to make oodles and oodles of money in the NFL to help everyone around you succeed when they're counting on you, is it worth it to play in the ReliaQuest Bowl? Is it worth it to play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl? Nowadays, there's only two types of people that get excited about playing in bowl games. One is the person who needs that bowl game for the extra tape to send to NFL scouts to maybe improve their draft status. The second are teams that haven't been able to play in the postseason or are rebuilding a program, and that was the goal at the beginning of the year. We live in different times. So when it comes down to that gamble of playing in an extra game that in reality doesn't matter outside of the college football playoff and New Year's Six bowls, sometimes opting out is the smart decision. And that's just the reality that we live in. I'm going to bring in my co-host David Cohn, former Michigan quarterback, my brother Blaine Crain, former Western State Colorado wide receiver. And guys, listen, I get it. Football's the ultimate team sport. I understand the logical and rational debate on finishing. Bo Nix is going to play for Oregon against Liberty. That's a little bit of a different case than playing in the Meineke Car Care Bowl. But even if you don't come from a bad socioeconomic background, smart business is smart business. If I am going to be a high draft pick, we don't get mad at people for sitting out of the Senior Bowl when they get invited, when they know they're going to get drafted. I know it's a little bit different. That's not truly a team. But if you're somebody that everyone is relying on, and you are about to make millions and millions of dollars, I, as a coach, number one, would understand if we're going to play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl and you don't play. I think teammates nowadays understand that. That's something that you can explain. Not back in the day when bowl games were different than what they are now. But I think it's just the times we live in, and I can understand it more now than I could at the beginning. I don't think it's as crazy as what some people make it out to be. I think you.
Well, yeah. Look, you said this is indicative of the times we live in. That much I can agree with for sure. That's the problem. Is the times we live in. To me, I mean, ball players play ball, but I can certainly understand people making business decisions. I don't want to go around assuming like what kids do and don't come from socioeconomic backgrounds.
For sure, but it is a true thing that some come from that.
Well, some do, but I mean, even then, I don't expect one kid to like foot the bill for his entire family, like moving forward for the rest of his life. So I don't know anything about what Jayden Daniels' background is or isn't, but the same, like I've always told you on this situation, you could make the same exact excuse that you're saying for bowl games for the last 3 or 4 games for LSU. They weren't going to win a national championship, so like, why even finish the season or play against Texas A&M?
Oh, well, you do want a certain amount of tape. And I mean, Jayden Daniels is playing to win the Heisman Trophy as well. I mean, you want to get those numbers. But listen, I'm going to tell you right now, especially having recruited, there's a lot of kids that foot the bill for their families back home. I recruited New Orleans, and a lot of kids that come out of there, they are getting relied on by everybody around them to elevate their family and kind of change the trajectory of it. That's a real thing. I see it all the time. But even if you come, if your father's a oil baron or whatever. A smart business decision is a smart business decision. I'm not going to fault somebody for doing that. To me, it's almost like saying, all right, well, I have this huge amount of money coming to me that I won at a casino. I know that I am getting it. I played long enough. I am getting it. I worked hard. Now I'm just going to go take it and put it all on red on the roulette table, and something that really, at the end of the day, yes, it matters. Yes, you can be there for your teammates, but I'm not going to get mad at a guy that's about to get millions of dollars for saying, hey, man, listen, it's just not worth it for me and my future to be able to go play in this game. Not that I would do it personally, but I can understand, Blaine, somebody saying, listen, this is smart. You know as well as I do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that the whole team's relying on you, talking about from a family standpoint, to be able to make that jump. And if something happens, yeah, you can have insurance. Yeah, you can have this, that, and the other. But when you're the one that's been relied on since you're 12 years old, like, that's a real thing.
Yeah, and that is a real thing. And there's a lot of different stories and a lot of different backgrounds when it comes to this situation. But why were bowl games made? In the first place, it's for money. That's what it is. The school gets a boost. The coach gets a boost. Who doesn't get a boost in this game? Players, right? Players make no money off of bowl games. And if the bowl games want to keep players to come out and play that game, I know this sounds nasty and it doesn't feel good, but they're going to have to tie money into players in NIL deals or whatever the hell they have to do for players to play in these bowl games. That's what it comes down to. It's college football. It's a business. It's a show. It's about money. That's why bowl games got made in the first place. You can go all the way back. So in the society we live in, the college football that we live in now, you're going to opt out because it's not worth losing your career over a game to go play in the Duke's Mayo Bowl.
But this is their career now. I mean, like this, you talk about all the time, like players wanted in the business with NIL. You got that. What's the other half of that? You have to honor your commitment. I mean, when I look at someone like Marvin Harrison Jr., who also just made the semifinalist, Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be an NFL player coming out of high school. Like, that's another part of this is like, why is it mandatory to be 3 years removed from high school before you can go play in the professional league? Marvin Harrison Jr. could have sat out this entire season, and he would have been an NFL player. So what good is it for him to go out there and run routes and possibly get hurt and not go to the NFL?
Well, how much money did Marvin Harrison make this year?
That's what I'd like to know.
He's not going to make any money. If he was in a random bowl game, he's not making any money off that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What's his NIL deal? How much money did he get make to play in the games this year? And do you have to play in the games to get your name, image, and likeness?
Well, I like your idea.
The whole thing is broken. The whole thing is broken. How much money is Jayden Daniels getting paid? I heard it was like $500,000, $600,000.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you want it in the business, but now you don't have to honor your commitment to play in the games because there's another business opportunity that could happen a couple months from now. It's all a joke.
Well, I think, number one, I liked your idea the other day of putting playing in the bowl game within the NIL deal in the contract if we were able to do a contract together to keep somebody at a certain place. I thought that was
Of course, that's business.
But to me, I think there's a big difference between the Duke's Mayo Bowl and you playing Texas A&M halfway through the season. I could sit here and say one of the worst things about Florida State being left out is it reinforced it. Why would I even play in the regular season if I could go undefeated and not be able to get in because one guy got hurt? Like, I think that's a bad look for the game, too. But I think treating the Hula Bowl like going to play at College Station halfway through the season or going to play in college in a regular season where you can elevate your draft stock. Marvin Harrison's not elevating his draft stock by going and playing in the bowl game.
But some guys could be.
Some guys could be. That's why I said there's
that's what I'm saying. My father-in-law, Richard Todd, the last 3 games, the Iron Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, and the Senior Bowl are the reason that he got drafted at all.
And some guys, that's the case.
And some guys need to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's why I said there's 2 types of people that care about bowl games in today's world. It's the person trying to improve their draft status, right, that wants to get that tape out there. Maybe it's a matchup where they're playing against a good team. Maybe Liberty, the guy at Liberty, right, that's playing Oregon, wants that tape of him playing against Oregon to be able to elevate his draft status. And then the second person is the person on the team who, helped resurrect the program, and all they talked about was getting back to a bowl game. And you can like that. You can not like that. I grew up in the same era that y'all did where bowl games were fun, right? It was a reward. It was a gift. It was something that you got to play an extra game. It was a privilege. Just unfortunately in the NIL era now, it's just different.
I know, but you were against Caleb Williams sitting out the second half of the year. Like when that
the season, yes.
Caleb Williams was going, like the same argument can be made for Caleb Williams halfway through.
Again, so you think the regular season is exact same as the Duke's Mayo?
No, I think that a guy who's about to make millions and millions and millions of dollars can sit out whenever he wants to because that's his future. That's what you're saying. If you have to provide for your whole family, what difference does it make if you sit out the whole year, half the year, or just one game?
Well,
they're already out of it.
You've got to play in the regular season.
Not for Caleb Williams. Some guys do.
So if Caleb Williams sat out this whole entire season,
he would still be an NFL player. He would have gone number 1 last year.
That wouldn't have hurt him.
No.
That wouldn't have hurt him at all.
For me, if I was a GM, yeah, I don't want to see that, but not for some GMs. I bet there were some GMs telling him not to play. Like, hey, you're going to be the number 1 pick. We don't want you to play. We don't want the extra reps. We don't want the extra.
So if you don't play, then you don't get that NIL money. You think Fansville's going to sponsor a guy that's not playing college football?
That's my point.
The next quarterback.
That's my point.
No, but
what do they have to do to get their NIL money? No one tells us.
But see, we agree on that.
It's contractual.
What you have to do.
Yeah, we agree on that.
I don't know the fine print, but I would assume that most of it has to do with the regular season, right? When it comes to NIL money. Like, I haven't seen one bowl. Like, bowls are going to have to pay kids to come play. Not only the school, but the bowls are going to have to pay these. It is pay to participate. It is pay to play in college football. It is the NFL. That's when the only thing different is the NFL actually has contracts that we can go really look up and see what's going on. They're going to have to pay these kids to play. Because if you're a first-round pick, you're not playing.
Bryce did. Bryce Young was going number 1 overall.
Bo Nix is going to play.
Bryce Young was going number 1 overall if he played in the bowl game last year. Will Anderson. Bryce and Will Anderson both played last year.
And I applaud him for
They both played in the game last year.
I applaud him for that. But if Bo Nix would have said, listen, I'm going to be a top 7 to 10 pick. I've played in college for 35 years anyway. I've already paid my dues, but I'm going to be a top 10 pick. I'm not going to play in this bowl game. I wouldn't be like, this guy is the worst guy ever. From a business standpoint, I can understand the argument, especially with certain guys in certain situations, why you wouldn't play. And I'm not talking about the playoff. I'm not talking about New Year's 6. I'm talking about the periphery bowls. So it's an interesting debate, right? And you can fall on either side. I think there's a logical and rational argument for either side. We want to know what you think. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. But something we can all agree on is that if you're tired of wasting your time on testosterone boosting products that don't work, we don't blame you. Whether you're playing in the bowl game or not, that's why our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, lets you try before you buy, and you can get a complimentary sample when you text 231-231 and enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. We're all getting older. Blaine, you've used this product. You speak unbelievably highly of it. We all have less energy. It's just a real thing, right? It's father time than we used to. It's due to a natural loss of testosterone. And if you decide to do something about it, Nugenix is the company for you. You'll feel revived, energized, and you'll be working out like you used to. It's got key man boosting ingredients like Testofen. It is a 100% awesome product. And you can get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T when you text 231-231. Enter that keyword Crain. It's C-R-A-I-N. It's not spelled like the bird. Text now and get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest and most powerful fat incinerator ever. I promise you it works. One of the things that helped me lose weight for the movie and my wedding, which happened to coincide at the same time, a little double dose there. And they have key ingredients to help you lose weight fast and get lean even faster. Absolutely free. But but only when you text 231-231 and you enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. That's 231-231, enter keyword Crain. When you text, it enrolls you in recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. All right, let's get to the Booster Club.
All right, let's go to Trey. What's up, Trey? Hashtag Ask Crain and Co. Chat. Let's have a good day today. If you're in there, hit that like and subscribe button for your boy. What do we do with the Bowls when we go to the playoffs next year?
Well, I mean, I think they're going to do what we've done with the Bowls now. Like, you'll have the bigger Bowls will inherit the playoff games, right? You may have some new sponsors for new games, but I would think the natural pecking order is the Bowls that are bigger, the Bowls that are more attractive will be the ones that are thrown into the 12-team playoff, because it's going to be a moneymaker, buddy. It's going to be an absolute money. That's what scares me to death. Is we're going to have this 4-team playoff, then we're going to have the 12-team playoff, then they're going to see how much, they're going to triple the already doubled profits, and then be like, oh, well, we need 16 teams, now we need 24 teams, and it's going to continue to kind of spiral down, but they'll just kind of ingest the Cotton Bowl, whatever, and that'll be one of the playoff ones.
Let's go to Jeff Lee. What's up, Jeff? He says, Jay needs to throw 2 passes to Malik to set the record, and then both of them need to walk off the field and take their pads off and watch the game. I wonder what record they're breaking.
I want to say it's either receptions. I saw this the other day. You mentioned this because we asked if Jayden Daniels and them were going to play, and you said there were some records that they could break. And all that stuff's great. Here's my question though, as we kind of get into the Heisman discussion. Could you make an argument that Jordan Travis should win the Heisman? Like if he kept Florida State getting kept out, if he's that important, like then I think Jayden's going to win it. I think Jayden should win it. We've said that for a while. But with Jordan Travis and Florida State, if he's so good that you're keeping Florida State out of the playoff, how does he not win the Heisman?
Well, I think he's a Heisman finalist. For sure he was going to be a Heisman finalist. But I think what Jayden Daniels has done this year, it's not even close. You can't really you can't look at Jordan Travis's numbers and what he's done to what Jayden Daniels has done this year.
But what he's saying is
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. He's so important he got hurt. They kept him out of the playoff. I understand, but like you got to look at like if J.J. McCarthy got hurt, like they would evaluate Michigan the same way they evaluated Florida State if the backup came out and played that bad. Like I don't think it's just two separate things or two different worlds that we live in.
It wouldn't happen in the SEC.
I don't think it would happen in the SEC or the Big Ten. I don't think they'd get away with it. I think you can get away with it in the ACC. I think you can get it in a conference that everybody's trying to lead.
What about the Pac-12?
That really has no power. Pac-12, you could have got away with it easier than anything.
For sure.
They're gone. There is what Pac-12?
Well, I think Jordan Travis, like if these quarterbacks would have got hurt, Jordan Travis is just as important as Jayden Daniels to his team, as Bo Nix to his team, as Michael Penix to his team. So, like, I don't think Jordan Travis, just because he got hurt, right, and they kept him out of the playoff, deserves to win the Heisman.
No, I'm not saying he is the most deserving. What I'm saying is you could make a legitimate argument that Jordan Travis is the sole reason that his team was undefeated, because the minute he went down, Florida State's not good enough to beat Bama, but they're good enough to beat Georgia and Ohio State, according to the committee. So, look, somebody said that to me the other day. It makes sense. I mean, I get it.
Let's go to King Don Sobek. What's up, brother? Hashtag Ask Crain and Co. Why is Marvin Harrison Jr. a finalist?
I don't know.
Other Power 5 teams has wide receivers with much better statistics.
How's Malik Neighbors not at this thing?
Do we have those stats?
When you look at the numbers. Malik.
Are we talking about the Heisman after this, or are we just...
Do what?
Are we doing a segment on the Heisman Trophy?
I think he's just asking. We can get into it. We can segue into it if y'all want.
Yeah, if y'all want to. Yeah, we can absolutely do that.
That's without a doubt. I mean, look, when it comes to Marvin Harrison Jr., I get that he is one of the most electric guys that we've seen at the wide receiver position. He would be, if I was taking a position other than quarterback and an edge player, Marvin Harrison Jr. would be the first guy that I would take. But when you look at the numbers, if we're going to, and you can't sit here and say, well, Marvin Harrison Jr. had an awful quarterback, or Marvin Harrison Jr. was the only good player on the team, therefore he was already getting double. You have Igbuka, you've got Stover, you had Kyle McCord at quarterback who threw for 3,200 yards. You have Fleming, who happens to be in the transfer portal now. I mean, Malik Neighbors, he's got Brian Thomas Jr., he's got Jayden Daniels and Mason Taylor, but I can make the exact same argument, right, for Malik Neighbors than I can Marvin Harrison Jr. with better numbers. With way better numbers. Malik has over 300 more receiving yards than Marvin Harrison Jr. does. They both have 14 touchdowns. They're both averaging about exactly the same yardage per catch. All right, but then you look at receptions. Malik's got 86. Marvin Harrison Jr. has got 67. I don't know, David, how you could argue that Malik Neighbors should not be there and Marvin Harrison Jr. should, outside of just name value
It's
and
ridiculous.
recognition.
I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the best wide receivers in the country. He'll be drafted higher than Malik Neighbors. He's going to have a great NFL career. I understand all of that. But Malik Neighbors had a better season. So if Malik Neighbors had the name Marvin Harrison Jr. right now at LSU with those stats, he would be a Heisman Trophy finalist
100%.
right now. That's problematic to me. And, congratulations on the year Malik Neighbors had. And it's not just him either. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr., they had a whole core down there.
For sure. And then
you think it hurts Malik Neighbors when it comes to this having Jayden Daniels at quarterback? Because would it say more to Marvin Harrison, like even with the guys that are surrounding him and your quarterback? And Kyle had a good year, but we can all think Kyle's an okay quarterback. In my opinion, he was an okay quarterback. That him standing out the way he did says more about him with a mediocre quarterback.
No, because Jayden Daniels was running a lot too. That keeps the ball from going in the air. I mean, Kyle McCord wasn't really running. He was having to throw the ball up to those guys.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if we can say just Kyle McCord's just an okay quarterback. Like, I feel like this dude's, Kyle McCord's kind of getting the short end of the stick a little bit here. It's his first year as the starter. Like, it's your first year. Are we to the point now where if you're a first-year young quarterback and if you go 11-1 and you throw for 3,200 yards and you lose on the road by less than one score to the number one team in the country and that's your only loss, like, that's just okay? I don't want to live in that world. I don't care who's playing on your team. I think Kyle, I understand what Ryan Day and them are doing, and I'm always down for competition. But I don't think we should start labeling like Kyle McCord. Is he the greatest quarterback ever or in the country? No. But as a young guy, right, did he make I have more respect for Kyle McCord after throwing that interception early against Michigan and the way he battled back to keep them in that game than I had going into that game. So I want to make sure with Kyle McCord, we don't just act like he's some run-of-the-mill average quarterback. But I don't know if y'all saw no, I think Ohio State is getting Cam Ward. I think they see an opportunity to get Cam Ward. And I get it if I'm Ryan Day. I get it 100%. You lost 3 in a row to Michigan. But did you see who Kyle McCord's meeting with today? Nebraska. That'd be a really nice pickup for Matt Rule.
Wow.
That'd be a very nice pickup for Matt Rule.
No, yeah. I mean, at this point, Bo's out of it. Can you have a legitimate argument for Michael Penix winning the Heisman? Like, if you have to argue for Michael Penix, if you were the suitcase, you were the lawyer for Michael Penix walking in, and you had to give the deal of Michael Penix winning the Heisman, how would you approach it?
Yeah. I mean, he was the odds-on front runner a month ago. It's only 4 weeks. I mean, for sure, he's had an incredible season. It's just, I was having this conversation with a couple different people about Jayden Daniels, the fact that his stats have been propelled higher because of how historically bad the LSU defense is, right? Like, Jayden Daniels has been getting in these shootouts game after game, and that's what's been driving the numbers in a way that other good quarterbacks around the country haven't had to do. Yeah. When you talk about guys like a Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers or J.J. McCarthy, a lot of those guys aren't playing for the fourth quarter of their games. But to me, that's not a knock on Jayden Daniels. That's saying when there's a weakness on your team, you're the guy who has to go above and beyond each time, each and every game. You're carrying the team. And plus, the stats just got to a point for Jayden Daniels where they were so ridiculous that I think now it's moved beyond a conversation.
Yeah, and we talk about Heisman moments and things like that with Jayden Daniels. I mean, Jayden Daniels, really, even going back to the Florida State game, he didn't really have a bad game all year.
For 350 yards.
You go to the Alabama game, he got hurt, but they were marching up and down the field against Bama. We saw that. To me, I think playing LSU may have been the best thing that could have happened to Alabama because they realized they may have to score 50, and we should maybe tailor the offense and the game plan to what Jalen Milroe does best, and we've seen what has happened since then. But when it comes down to Michael Penix, the numbers 100% with Jayden Daniels. Michael Penix and them won all their games, right? He was one of the front runners. They won all their games, but I don't think he had those breakout, unbelievable games that he would have had to have to get the numbers close enough to Jayden Daniels to say, all right, listen, Washington's undefeated. They won a tough Pac-12. He deserves this over Jayden. I mean, the numbers that Jayden Daniels put up were, EA Sports road to glory type numbers that you just don't see, especially in the SEC. And they went 9-3, and he really didn't have a bad game.
Well, we talk about criteria with the playoffs. What would be y'all's criteria for the Heisman? Right? Each box that needs to get checked in y'all's opinion.
Well, I think it's how you look at it. Is the Heisman Trophy the best player in the country, hands down, regardless of record, or is it the most valuable player on one of the best teams in the country that has Heisman moments and has the stats to back it up? To me, you have to have the numbers, number one, right? You have to have the numbers. I think you have to show up in big games, in big moments, and take advantage of opportunities. And then I think you have to have, I wouldn't say a winning record, David, just that you need to just be at least 6-6 or 7-5 or above. But I think 8 wins is like a plateau for me. I don't know why, but I just go to the 8-win mark. I just feel
wouldn't
like
even put a number of wins on it. I mean, yeah, the best players win. The best players win, right? But I mean, you could be the best player in the football country on a 6-6 team and you still be deserving of the Heisman. To me, it's about you had to have the best season. Right? Like, because too often times we say, like, well, just be the best football player. That's why you're seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. going to New York instead of Malik Neighbors, because they see him already as, oh, you're the best football player. Another example of that is like Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers might be the best football player in America.
I don't think that's crazy.
Did he have the best season this year? Another example, Caleb Williams, who won it last year, but not even a finalist this year. Like one of the best football players in the country, but you didn't have the best season, right? Like that's what, to me, you have to go throughout the entire year playing the best football week in and week out, not just based off a projection of how you're going to do at the next level.
Does any off the field stuff matter to you? Like how you kind of, how you carry yourself and like, because we talk about Caleb Williams all the time, making fun of Max Duggan because he was crying, then he went and cried. Yeah, in his own mom's arms, doing this.
I don't think that's a disqualifier.
Okay, yeah. What would be in the realm? Because we talk about Jayden Daniels, and we talk about Jayden Daniels on the field, but we've had the pleasure to meet Jayden Daniels off the field, and the kid just lights up everywhere he goes, and he's enthusiastic with everything he does. One of my highlights from SEC Media Days this year. So what's kind of y'all's thing off the field? Y'all have any boxes that need to get checked there?
I don't think you have to make the good works team of your conference or go out and do a certain number of hours of community service. I mean, arrests, right? Obviously, as long as it's nothing that is, either bars you from playing or just puts you in an awful light. I don't have like a certain criteria of, you need to do this amount of good things. It's just kind of just keeping your nose clean, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm down with any award or Major League Baseball Hall of Fame to have some sort of requirement based off integrity. I actually really like that. That's why I was so frustrated when that Heisman voter, whatever his name was, Greg Doyle or whatever, came out and said, well, J.J. McCarthy should not even be considered for the Heisman because Michigan is involved in some sort of investigation that still hasn't resolved itself or anything. But he defended Johnny Manziel for people not disqualifying Johnny Manziel for signing autographs or getting suspended and all that kind of stuff. That was a little weird to me.
Can we just go ahead and call the Heisman a quarterback award now, though? Like, I mean, that's really what it is.
No.
That's really what it is.
Devonta Smith won.
Yeah, Devontae Smith won recently.
It's
an offensive award, it's for sure.
Yeah, it's we could say that. I think it is truly turning into an absolute quarterback award.
All right, let's go to Connor Montgomery. Connor, what's up, brother? He says, I think the Heisman should be the best player who is the best player on the best team. Otherwise, the award is irrelevant. I mean, you play that well for what?
All right, so then somebody from Michigan should win the award, right? If that's what we're going to say.
Yes.
Yeah. David agrees with that. I mean, so just give it to Blake Corum. I mean, is that David? If I had to tell you who's the best player in Michigan, who would you say the best player in Michigan is?
Man, that's interesting. The best player, I think you would certainly look at Blake Corum, mostly because, and this is where you shouldn't consider what happened the year before when we're talking about things like this Heisman Trophy and playoff and all that. But because he had the year he did last year, he was a legitimate Heisman candidate last year, especially coming down the stretch before he got hurt in that Indiana game and had about the same number of touchdowns, was leading the country, but far more yards, right? Yeah. Then gets hurt and says, I'm going to come back next year to accomplish all these things. National championship, Heisman Trophy, all that, whatever. That, propels you into this year. And Blake has had a good year. The touchdowns are there. He leads the nation, but the yardage, not so much. That's why you haven't seen his name. I mean, look, he would obviously be the person that's come to mind, especially with the way that J.J. McCarthy has kind of played down the stretch. But again, J.J. never was set up to win the Heisman Trophy because Michigan is such a run-first team. Mm-hmm. And when you're blowing out weaker competition, a lot of times in a lighter non-conference schedule the way he had, you're not having to do the things Jayden Daniels. He wasn't playing for a quarter and a half of these games.
That's very true. Here's what I would do. If I was going to give the Heisman Trophy to the best player on the best team, I would give the Heisman Trophy to Michigan's offensive line. That's what I would do. I would just blend it with the Joe Moore Award. Here, guys.
Whoever number 78 is on y'all's defensive line is y'all's best player on that.
Kenneth Grant?
Is y'all's best player on
Somebody at some point in his life was like, you need to go play offensive line and be a gazillionaire because you're that big and that athletic. And he said no, and it still worked.
After I watched, I don't remember what game it was.
When he ran him down, ran a boy down.
State.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Like, I have nightmares.
Needed it.
I have nightmares watching. You can't be that big and run that fast.
Yeah, well, the T-Rex wasn't chasing the Jeep in Jurassic Park. He was running away from 78 on Michigan.
Did anybody else get snubbed for the Heisman finalists this year? I mean, I had Drake May winning the award preseason.
I don't think Drake should have gone.
No.
I don't think Drake should have gone. We could say Malik. You know, you look around, it's just somebody that's, Jalen Milroe? Right?
I don't think
you can make an argument.
I've heard that all week now. That Jalen Milroe, like to me, it's just not there. There were just too many other good quarterbacks who had better years.
I can understand that.
Ollie Gordon played himself out of it in the title game.
I'm trying to think of somebody other than a quarterback that should have that may have gotten snubbed, but I'm not. There's not really a running back that is coming to mind that should have gone up there. It's kind of a weird year.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it all the time. Jordan Travis.
Yeah, the
fact that he's not invited is disgusting. To me, to be honest.
Well, to me, we've seen this before, though. Hendon Hooker didn't get invited.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering when Florida State got left out, the first thing I thought was if Tennessee last year, if Hendon Hooker would have got hurt and they'd have beat South Carolina, if they'd have won their last couple games, would they have kept Tennessee out? There's no way. There's no way they had kept Tennessee out.
Yeah, I think the only really player close to it's probably Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
Right, Blake Corum in there. I mean, hell, you can put Caleb Williams in there with some of the numbers he put up. But, I mean, he went 7-5 on the season. That's it. Talk for another day. Let's go to Edward O., the Nuts Bus driver. What's up, brother? LSU played a much tougher schedule than Washington. That should be brought up as well. We get back to the criteria of the Heisman. Strength of schedule should be brought into the mix.
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, you can't just give it to somebody, I guess, who didn't play anybody. But I think Washington in the Pac-12, if there was ever a year to argue that the Pac-12 was as tough as it's ever been, it's this year. I mean, you beat Oregon twice. The Arizona win looks a whole heck of a lot better now than it did when they won that game. The Pac-12 was as deep as I can remember. But no, I don't think the strength of schedule argument hurts Michael Penix. I don't think that's going to be the reason that Jayden Daniels wins it either. I don't think it has anything to do with him being in the SEC. It helps Jayden Daniels, obviously, when you look at those numbers that he played in a Power 5 conference, and especially the Southeastern Conference, but I don't think that should be the end-all, be-all. You can tell when you turn on the TV and you watch Jayden Daniels. It's just different to me, like watching. It's a little bit like, if we're going to be honest, watching RG3. Like when RG3 would run, it looked different than when every other quarterback would run.
Yeah, I love that.
It's weird to hear that LSU played such a tougher schedule than Washington when they opened with Florida State. And what I've been hearing for the last week is Florida State played no one.
No one, yeah.
No one.
Yeah.
That's all the take.
They're terrible.
Florida State played no one this year.
That's actually a really good point.
It's got a bubbly gut. Oh, the worst.
The worst.
So if the Heisman isn't based purely on statistics, then it is a pageantry trophy.
I mean, I think there's some pageantry involved in it. I mean, if we're going to be honest, I think stats is obviously a big part of who wins the Heisman, obviously, but I think there's other elements that go into it. We've seen guys win the Heisman that may not have had the best numbers, but they had their best games in the biggest moments, right? I think if Michael Penix would have gone out there against Oregon and threw for 450 yards and 6 touchdowns or had a crazy game like that, or if Bo Nix would have gone in the Pac-12 championship game and just absolutely balled out, there's a chance that they could have won it. But again, it is a very glamorous award. There's a reason why a group of 5 guy isn't winning it. They're not going to have Caden Salter from Liberty, who went undefeated, who had a great year, winning the Heisman Trophy. So there is kind of a buy-in. You have to be on a big-time team to win the Heisman Trophy. I think we've seen that. When's the last time somebody on a non-big brand team won the Heisman Trophy?
It's Been a while. The stats you showed me the other day where it went like really far down in terms of like yards per play and yards per completion, all that kind of stuff. That was really interesting to see that Jayden Daniels led all those categories too. Because you don't want to get in a situation where you just have a team that's really bad and they're just playing some player up to win the Heisman, right? I've seen years where Texas Tech and Hawaii had 5,000 yards throwers when I was.
You remember Colt, Brennan,
all those guys.
Guys?
Yeah, it's not about they threw for more yards than whoever won those Heisman trophies that year, the Matt Leinerts and the Carson Palmers and all that. But it wasn't about that, because when you look down into the stats, it's like, well, if you're throwing the football every play, you really weren't that efficient still.
Very true.
Jayden Daniels was.
Yeah, very true.
Let's go to MG. What's up, brother? Worst Heisman year I can remember. Jayden Daniels gets 8 touchdown passes against D2 schools. Buddy, I'm not impressed. I would, and for you to go watch the other games.
Yeah, I would go watch them when they play Alabama. Listen, and this is what I laugh at. And I talked about this yesterday when I went on the radio. You know what I find absolutely hilarious is that you have some people that are sitting here talking about Florida State and that they shouldn't get in, and then talking about the regular season and this, that, and the other, and then in the same breath will make fun of an SEC team for playing like a D1 AA team like the week before the last week of the season and say, oh, well, you need to schedule a better opponent. Well, Florida State scheduled Florida and LSU, and y'all didn't let them in. So I don't want to hear a damn word about somebody playing Louisiana Monroe. By the way, shout out Brian Vincent, new head coach of Louisiana Monroe. Very excited for the Vincent family. He's going to do a great job. But I don't want to hear a word from some of these people about cupcake games that didn't want Florida State in the playoff. I don't want to hear a word about the regular season mattering anymore from that group of people. That's just something that hit me the other day, because it's the same guys, Cone, that are sitting here making fun of the SEC and some of these other teams for playing, Bethune-Cookman the week before you play in the Iron Bowl game. Yet Florida State can go undefeated with a Power 5 schedule in a Power 5 conference and win said conference and not lose a game. But that's not good enough. Boy, what a privileged world to live in.
All right, let's go to Jay Smiles 24. I want to get to this. Finally watched Lady Ballers. Thought Cone missed a golden opportunity to say to the tied-up badger, it rubs the Genucel on its fur. Also want to know if Jeremy's shampoo and conditioner really gets that hair silky and smooth. Asking for
I've had more people hit me up about the Jeremy's. It worked. Like the product placement in there, like doing that commercial. I've had more people hit me up about that that thought that was funny.
All right, let's go to the house that Cody built. Cody, we love that house. Says, I'm sure everyone in the 80s were saying the Heisman was a running back award. It has since progressed into a web award.
A web award?
A web award.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
The World Wide Web?
I think he puts it on the line.
On the line.
Well, see, football was different then. You're turning around handing the football
That's
off
exactly
a lot more.
right.
Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson, Barry
point.
Sanders, these guys.
For sure. I mean, you can go back even further. Like in the 40s and 50s, I'm sure it was like running Tommy Tompkins. That was like winning. Everybody's running the triple option.
Well,
old one-eyed Jason Withers.
Don't bring in RTT into this.
Yeah. You're talking about
RTT. Doing back in the day, dude.
I feel a lot of disrespect right now.
Yeah, RTT, RG3.
Let's go to Josh Bissett. What's up, Josh? They should retire the Heisman and just make a new trophy. It means nothing anymore. Just so you can be in shitty Nissan commercials. It's a joke.
I will say, I will say, some of the Heisman House commercials are funny.
They're good.
But I think they're of, when you look at how bad some commercials are today, the one that I think is really funny is the mascot one. Mm-hmm. When he's like talking about how when Michigan doesn't have a mascot, and it's like Tim Tebow's with the gator, and it's just there's some funny elements of those. The Bryce Young one when they're RG3 and them are announcing, it's like he's spreading it all over the field, and it's like Bryce Young fertilizing.
They're good spots. Yeah.
They are pretty good spots.
Let's get Hunter Martin with the $5 donation. Hunter, appreciate it, buddy. Heisman to the replay official in the SEC champ game. Is that when
you're talking about the catch?
Yeah,
that wasn't a catch. What game was it? How do you miss that?
Was that not a catch?
No. I don't think it was a catch.
No.
But then they said they reviewed
anything I say against Bama, it's just it's Homer Auburn take. So at this point, but as if it's the way I saw it, I'm a huge Isaiah Bond guy. He's one of my favorite guys to watch in college. That wasn't a catch.
That wasn't a catch?
No.
I could have gone either way with it. It was close enough to me that I don't think it should be made a controversial thing. That's how I feel about it.
Well, to me, I think there would be a lot less controversy if they would have just stopped and reviewed it and said the ruling on the field is okay. But part of me, because the SEC came out and said that they reviewed it. But you could always say that. Like, they said, oh, well, we looked at it back then, but we didn't stop play. You could technically always say that, and I
don't believe you.
I just don't believe you. But if you would have stopped play and said, guys, kind of like in the Iron Bowl, the third down, they called it incomplete on the field to Jermaine Burton. They had to go back and look at it. They stopped it. It was tough to tell. It was too close to call on the field stands. I'm fine with that. I can live with that. But the fact that you were like, no, don't worry, we reviewed it. It's like we definitely 100%
the reason I don't think
it.
they reviewed it is because I think it was in the second half of the same game, Georgia caught a pass that wasn't even close to being a drop. And immediately reviewed that thing because someone in their ear said, if y'all miss another play, your family's not getting out.
Yeah, like we're not letting them go.
I wouldn't buy into this theory that it was all done to try and get Alabama.
No, I don't think that.
Because from a conference standpoint, and that's what I've seen from a lot of Georgia fans, from a conference standpoint, one of them you already is undefeated.
For sure.
And you back-to-back. Just go ahead and let them win, 100%. And you're for sure in the playoff.
Yeah, like if it was something that would have ended the game in the tie, they would have ended it in the tie. Yeah. But I think they just missed. I think they're human beings, and they just missed it. But what I still don't understand, and nobody can explain to me, and I would love for somebody to call in and try and explain this to me, why does the referee have to go over to the video?
Well, he's running over there, sprinting.
Like, why are we doing this?
It's for effect.
Why are we doing
for dramatic effect, guys.
Do you not have a headset?
It's like the same reason we invented cell phones, like to make this easier, so you don't have to run to a payphone. You're looking at it in the SEC office. Like, there's people sitting in front of monitors that are telling the referee what the call is.
Give me 3 hours.
It's
a dramatic effect, boys. That's what it is.
Fix this.
Put me in charge
in a
for
second.
3 hours.
But you would miss
That's why he says it the way he says it.
You couldn't get to some commercials while they're reviewing it. And that's something that drives me nuts. Oh, while we're reviewing it, we're just going to go to commercial. No. Show me the replay. What do you mean while we're reviewing it, we're going to go to commercial? Now I got to sit here and worry.
There's nothing that upsets me more when I can't see the replay. They're going through it and they won't show it to me. There's nothing that upsets me more. But you know how it's a TV show and it's a drama? The way the refs say it, right? And you go back to hockey. Hockey refs do it well too. It's like, after reviewing the footage on the field, the pass is...
Pause.
Yeah. Huh?
Incomplete!
Incomplete! And then it's going wrong.
What do you think? What do you guess? What if it's like, Coach, guess? What do you think? What do you think it is? But speaking about reviewing, we all know that Christmas is on the way. Okay? All right? And you want to make sure you're prepared. And what do green eggs and your Christmas dinner have in common? They both need ham to be complete. Okay, and our friends at Good Ranchers, they don't just have any ham. They have a spiral cut heritage pork masterpiece that you can get for free. That's exactly right. When you sign up for any Good Ranchers subscription, that's a $99 value that you get free in your first order. Simply subscribe to any box, and you'll get that free holiday ham included in the order. It's amazing. You'll get $25 off every order, a free gift in every third box, and free shipping on express delivery. So head on over to goodranchers.com, subscribe today with our code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, to claim your free limited stock holiday ham before they sell out, but you better act fast. This offer won't last forever, and the Booster Club loves them some Good Ranchers. So order before December 11th for guaranteed delivery by Christmas. GoodRanchers.com. Use that code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, when you subscribe to get your free 10-pound holiday ham. Don't settle for the same old holiday fare. Elevate your feast with Good Ranchers this year. Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. Go ham, Blaine. Go ham.
Oh. I'm Millie rocking over here. He's got a crypto contractor with a $10 donation. Let me get some Bitcoin, y'all. Throw it my way. Jordan Travis, he was such a good player. He kept FSU out of the college football playoff.
You said Kirk?
Jordan Travis?
Hey, by the way, have you seen those videos of Herb Street, that have been going on?
Yeah, I think that was a long time ago.
I think it was. It's just.
What did he do?
Well, man,
he just rags. There's like a 2-minute clip of him
just ragging Florida State, like dogging them. Like, I don't like the way they carry themselves. Like, I don't.
No,
like
it was a while ago. It had to be back. God, at least three or four years.
Well, I think it was a compilation of over the years. I just saw it circulating. And listen, I think Kirk Herbstreit's a great football mind.
Oh, I do too.
Like, I enjoy. I would rather watch Kirk Herbstreit call a game backwards in reverse than watch some of the guys out there.
For sure.
That
I've always liked Kirk, man. And
he works his ass off.
I hadn't heard what you're specifically talking about, but every team's different. What he said about whatever team he was talking about that year may have been true. Like that shouldn't stand for what the brand is today, that he's some Florida State hater.
No, I agree. It showed him like celebrating after the Alabama.
That one I did see.
Like that.
That one was a little bit weird, even though I can understand as a college football fan, you would celebrate any like dramatic finish, right? Or get excited about any dramatic finish. That one specifically looked like he was
celebrating because Alabama won.
That one, you cheered that one, didn't you? Yeah.
Look, I know what it looks like when you're celebrating.
Yeah, I know what it looks like when you care.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like in you cared.
Let's go to MJ Breyer. What's up, brother? If a Heisman candidate goes down, it will have an impact on the team's chances of winning because that's their most valuable player. Jordan Travis, Michael Penix, etc. If they go down, the team stinks.
I just don't. I'm glad Ohio State didn't buy into that with Cardell Jones. I'm glad TCU didn't quit on the season when Chandler Morris got hurt and Max Duggan had to come in. See, this is what separates football from the other sports, in my opinion. It's the ultimate team sport. Who's to say that Florida State couldn't have got into a low-scoring game with Michigan with Tate Rodemaker, their backup quarterback, and had a chance to win the game at the end? Boy, a lot of people thought Michigan was going to beat the hell out of TCU last year, even with their starting quarterback. I don't buy into that because I know how much of a team sport football is. This isn't golf. This isn't tennis. Is Florida State as good without Jordan Travis as they are with Jordan Travis? No. Nobody's arguing that. But that doesn't discount all of the work that you did before he got hurt, and then the 2 double-digit wins, right? One against an SEC team, and then one in the ACC championship game that you had right after that. I just don't buy into that line of thinking.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about the Heisman with that comment. Is that not what he was?
Yeah, he was. He was talking about
I thought you were talking about.
But it kind of.
What I thought he was saying is that the Heisman should go to the guy whose team would suffer the most if they were removed, right? Like you're the MVP.
Oh, well, if that's what you're saying, then I made that argument earlier.
Yeah.
Like I would agree with you. But as far as keeping Florida State out, that's what I thought the argument was that you were making.
Let's go to Jonah Greaser with a $2 donation. Jonah, appreciate it, brother. Why do Heisman winners often flop in the NFL?
It was true a lot when I was growing up.
Yeah, you've had some hit or miss. I mean, we'll still see on Bryce. I think sometimes, because you have to understand in college, there are so many different styles of offense that are run that you're able to accumulate stats and get away with things in college that you're not going to get away with in the NFL. The margin of difference between the worst team in college and the best team in college is an oceans wide. In the NFL, who the hell knows? I just watched the Bengals.
I mean, not a lot of flops lately, if you really go through it.
Same sport, different game.
I mean,
same sport, different
Caleb Williams, obviously not.
We'll see.
Bryce Young, first year. I don't think Bryce did. Devontae Smith, Joe Burrow, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston. Then you get to the Johnny Manziels, Robert Griffin III, Cam, Mark Ingram, Sam Bradford. So not a lot of flopping.
There's less flops than there is that I actually thought off the top of my head. I do want to say, but every Heisman winner isn't the number 1 overall pick, too, as well. We got to remember that just because Jayden Daniels isn't going to be the first quarterback taken off the board, it's going to be Caleb Williams. So, I think you determine who's a bust based on where they're drafted, not the awards they won in college. Because, like David said, it's the same sport, but a different game.
And some guys get hurt, man.
Yeah.
Some guys get hurt in the sport.
It's why some guys are really good in high school and win these awards and go to college and don't win anything. You see the same thing. All right, we need to get to our bowl previews. The phone lines are opening up here. Oh, they're open right now, so we're going to get ready to go to those. But let's go to a couple bowl previews here.
All right, let's take a look at the Orange Bowl. So Florida State is going to play Georgia in the Orange Bowl. Tate Rodemaker should be back for that.
Yep.
That's one of the things that really didn't get brought up in this discussion when Florida State looked so bad in the ACC championship game. So Tate Rodemaker should be back. The question for me, and we don't know it sitting here right now, but how many opt-outs are we going to have from both sides of this game?
Yeah.
Is Keon Coleman going to be healthy? All sorts of questions like that.
Well, we've seen a couple guys from Florida State hop in the transfer portal already. I feel like Florida State is obviously at a massive disadvantage here. Tate Rodemaker's your quarterback and not Jordan Travis. But it's going to be very hard to get up and get excited when you've won every single game, you've done everything that's been asked of you, yet you don't get a chance to play for the reward that you were promised. And I know life isn't fair, but this is a situation where there was an action and a grievance, I think, an egregious grievance against Florida State, not getting an opportunity with where they're at, being a Power 5 school. I think Georgia obviously is going to be let down, but I think Carson Beck is coming back. I think Georgia is going to be pissed off, and I think Georgia doesn't have the amount of first-round picks that we've seen in the last couple years. You don't have a ton of those. Obviously, you got Brock Bowers. If I'm Brock Bowers with that injury, I think Kirby Smart's going to tell him not to play, but Brock seems like the type to play to me, that if he can go, he's going to go. We talked to him in SEC Media Days. How motivated is Jared Verse from Florida State? We'll see if he's playing the defensive end. Florida State has a really good roster, right? But if Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson and Jaheim Bell and a couple of these guys sit out with the backup Tate Rodemaker, they're not beating Georgia. But those guys wouldn't have sat out if they were in the college football playoff. So I don't want to hear the excuse of, oh, well, then they definitely shouldn't have made the playoff. That's a totally different circumstance, and they would have played. I like Georgia big in this game because I think Carson Beck is coming back. I think Carson Beck is going to play in this game. I think they are pissed off. Georgia is, and they do want to, even though they're going to be the class that broke the streak of national championships, they want to get to that 12-win mark, get to 12-1, get back on the winning side, and get ready for next year with Carson Beck coming back trying to win it. That's what I think.
Would they be, they'd be 13-1.
13-1, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're already
13. They were 12-0.
All right, so minus 14's the line right now, 2 touchdowns exactly. The over-under is 45. Is there any chance that Florida State just feels more galvanized to go prove the nation
That's
wrong?
what I mean. I was thinking it could go the complete opposite way, right? If you're Florida State, you could be getting up for this game more than you got up to any others because you have to go prove not only to the committee but to the world you belong in that playoff. And if you win this game, you can claim what? You can be UCF, baby.
I think you already claim
that national championship, right? You can take it home. Trust me, as an Auburn in 2004 fan, we claim that sucker. Trust me, if we'd have played, USC team was really good, but damn it, we wouldn't have got beat like 59-14 like Oklahoma did. But I think Mike Norvell, and this the way he's coached these guys, right? And it depends on who plays, obviously, on both sides of the ball. But the way he's coached these guys, I think Florida State will give everything they have in this game. I really do. I still think they have something to prove in this game. I think Mike Norvell is going to come on, and that's going to show. But the bad thing about it is you're facing a pissed-off Georgia football team. And that's tough to get around. You're not going to score a lot of points in this game. So I think your defense is going to have to manufacture some points against this Georgia offense. And Georgia's not really known to turn the ball over or give up big plays on when it comes to the defense. I like Georgia in this game. I like Georgia to cover in this game. And realistically, I think Georgia can win this game by 20+.
I would hammer Georgia minus 13.5. I would absolutely hammer Georgia.
I wonder how pissed off they are. Back-to-back national championships, fell short this year, still probably believe you're the best team or at least a top 2 team in the country. I'm really interested to see the dynamic. There's one person I don't question to be able to get a team ready for an entire month of December. It's Kirby Smart. The job he's done the past couple seasons to be able to get a team ready. 2 years ago, losing to Alabama in the SEC championship game, you throttle Michigan, you get the rematch with Alabama, you beat them. The job he did last year, it's been incredible. So I know that team will be ready to play. The bowl I'm most excited about right now is the Peach Bowl. We get the Ole Miss Penn State game that we talked about several weeks ago could be a possibility with 2 10-2 teams. How do you guys think this one's going to go?
Well, obviously Jackson Dart coming back for Ole Miss is huge, so he's going to play in the bowl game. You don't have to worry about playing a backup quarterback there. I think Ole Miss's defense is good enough to continue to stifle a Penn State offense that just struggles. Let's be honest. If this was your typical Ole Miss team that we've seen in the past, high flying on offense, just trying to hold on by the seat of their pants, not overtly physical on defense against the run, then I think that this game would be a true back and forth where you could see some sort of a renaissance offensively for Penn State. But this is not your typical Ole Miss team. This is one of the more complete Ole Miss teams that we've seen. That's one of the reasons why they won 10 games. That's one of the reasons why they were able to stay in the fight with Alabama for a decent amount of time. Wasn't because their offense was clicking, because it wasn't. It was because defensively they were able to hold up for a half. We know what happened in the second half of those games. Penn State defense, I got to see the opt-outs, right? Is Chop playing? Right? This is what makes previewing the bowl game so hard when you have to wait this long for it. I don't know who's playing in the game. So for me to sit here and you almost have to operate like everybody is playing, like when you're projecting it, right? Unless you know that they're not. So if everybody is at full bore, right? I still like Ole Miss in this game. What's the spread? What's the
3.5 right now. 3.5 Penn State.
3.5 Penn State. I will hammer Ole Miss plus 3.5.
Me too. I'm shocked that it's that. I think it's a dead pick 'em, maybe even like a half point or a point or something towards Ole Miss.
So right now I'm reading that neither Ole Miss or Penn State will have any opt-outs.
Neither of them will have any opt-outs. Great. Fantastic.
Great.
I would still take Ole Miss plus 3.5. Lane can work around.
Over under right now is 49.5. So the question is
It's with
I like
Penn
the
State
under.
team. This Penn State offense is so weird. Like you have one of the best defenses in the nation, and Penn State's still a top 15 team on offense, if you can believe that. But against top tier competition, they are mediocre at best.
Well, I've seen enough. We talk about the eye test. I've seen enough of Penn State's offense against capable defenses to know that I'm not going to sit here and cry. I don't think Pete Golding is crying himself to sleep every night about Drew Aller.
And Penn State got a new offensive coordinator.
They got a new OC, we talk about bowl practice and the importance of it. Mm-hmm. This is one of those times where we always talk about the young players, getting them more practice time, and that's true. But if you hired a new coordinator, this is great.
Yeah.
You get an extra month of install on the field.
Yeah.
Like we can get ahead of the spring. Now we're attacking the spring more, which, by the way, speaking of new offensive coordinators, and I don't want to digress too much. I know we got to keep going. But did you see that Texas A&M hired, I believe it was Texas A&M that hired Colin Klein to be their OC? I may be tripping. Somebody hired Colin Klein, who I think is one of the best play callers in the country. He was a quarterback. He was almost like Will Howard before Will Howard. If y'all remember when he was at Kansas State. But somebody just hired him as an OC. I want to say it was A&M. That's who I want to say it was. I believe that's correct. We'll continue to check on that.
We'll look that up. And talking about the no opt-outs and should guys opt out for bowl games and get ready for the NFL if they know they're going to be a pick, I think we'd see fewer opt-outs if these games were played the week after the conference championship.
I agree with that.
To me, it's not so much, this is some silly, meaningless bowl. Some of these games down the stretch of a season are silly and meaningless in terms of the grand scheme of a championship. It's the month layoff to me.
Yeah.
Like you have to wait another month. That's when you're talking about actually preparing for the NFL and getting ready. So in a game like this, which this is the Peach Bowl. I mean, this is a serious bowl game, but same thing can be said. You're not in contention for a championship. So guys like Chop Robinson, are they going to play?
And I did read that. What I was reading from was 2 days ago. So if something changed in the last 2 days, I mean, there could be opt-outs.
Stuff will change. We'll see.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Cotton Bowl real quick, because this is Missouri against the Buckeyes. Buckeyes just had so many transfers right now. It's just, I don't even know what to make of it.
What a huge opportunity for Missouri. What a humongous opportunity for Missouri. You've had a stellar year. Luther Burden's coming back. Brady Cook's coming back. You've got a ton of momentum. And just saying the words, if you're able to beat Ohio State, I understand the opt-out situation, right? Kyle McCord, gone. Fleming, gone. Ohio State's got a whole 5-star, 4-star recruiting class in the transfer portal right now. But when you go in to recruit going forward, if you're Missouri, and you go in that living room and say, well, we just went 11-2 and beat Ohio State's ass in the bowl game, that carries some weight. You want to talk about momentum going forward? This is the perfect opportunity for Missouri to capture a big prize for half the price, in my opinion. You can go take down Ohio State when they're not at full strength. You are at full strength with a ton of momentum, but you get the cachet of saying, hey, every down, we go into the signing periods. I know we have the one in December now, okay, and this game's going to be played after this. But you have the momentum going into the next class. You have the late signing window. Hey, guess what? Look at our trajectory. We just went 10-2 and won our bowl game to go in 11-2 against Ohio State. 50 years from now, you beat Ohio State in the bowl game and went 11-2. They're not going to be like, well, Julian Fleming was in the transfer portal.
No.
But I think it's a huge opportunity for Missouri. What's
Clearly Vegas is taking that into consideration because Missouri's favored.
Really?
Missouri is favored -1.5.
Oh my. Right now, parlay Ole Miss plus 3.5, Missouri money line, because I don't want to play with the -1.5 and then win by 1 and then me get pissed off. I would parlay those two instantly, and then I would add Georgia -13.5 to it. I would sprinkle a decent amount of cheddar cheese on that one.
Well, if you're Missouri, you have to capitalize on being one of the prettiest girls at the dance right now.
For sure.
You have to, because, lately it's been ugly. You're a trailer park walking around. No one's really excited. You upgraded a little bit. You're in middle class. Your house looks great. You're driving a Mercedes to work.
Right? Kids are in private school.
You need to come out and win this football game, not only for recruiting, but for the transfer portal as well. Guys in the transfer portal seeing Missouri, I hear beating Ohio State. Like Missouri, no one wakes up in the morning like, hey, man, I can't wait to go to Missouri. All right, well, no one used to, but you win this game.
Yeah.
All right, people might start doing that.
That's exactly.
And if you can do that, look, Missouri's one of those teams, man, that can get dangerous really quickly.
Don't sleep. Don't sleep on Drink. And Drink don't care. Like Drink has like a Lane Kiffin personality if people haven't figured that out.
I don't know if you saw him, but he did the Connor Stallions.
He did the Connor Stallions thing.
Which I was saying, look, it might not play in the Buckeyes might not be as funny as you think it is, but then the whole team decided to enter
That's
the
exactly
transfer.
right.
But that defense down the stretch of the season, if the Buckeyes defense shows up and plays the way I know they're capable of playing,
be tough.
It's going to be a great game. I don't know who's playing quarterback. I don't know who's playing wide receiver for them, but I know what they can do on defense.
Yeah, but I feel like you could steal one. I would absolutely hammer Missouri. I would take them on the money line.
I don't think that's a bad choice.
Without a doubt. But speaking about hammering something, I'm going to hammer the Genucel stock because the Booster Club sells them out every single time. They bring products down, and they just helped us have Christmas come early this year. They sent down a ton of products to everybody in the office. PJ loves it. We love it. My wife uses it. We all use it. That's why our skin it's glowing right now.
Yeah, look at David.
Yeah, look at David.
Beautiful David.
He looks like he's from Asgard. It's incredible. And it's a great holiday gift idea. It can make you, speaking of Asgard, the hero of the season. That's a Thor reference. Now, we all know holidays can be hectic, the shopping, the cooking, the never-ending list of things to do. But guys or ladies, if you need a gift idea, right, if you're kind of here we go, Christmas is coming, I need to make some plays, this is the play for you. And from now until Christmas, Genucel's most popular package has a special discount just for our listeners at Genucel.com/booster. That's GENUCEL.com/booster. If you go there right now, you get every order instantly upgraded to free express shipping. That's Genucel.com/booster today. If you got wrinkles, if you got skin redness, a sagging jawline, fine lines, it helps like that. You will see results very, very quickly. Trust me, we love our friends over at Genucel. We use it all the time. With Genucel, you got skin in the game. Speaking of skin in the game, let's get to some skin on the phone lines.
All right, let's do it. We got Sasha on the line in Austin, Texas. What's up, Sasha?
Hey guys, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Sasha.
I gotta come in here with some. I gotta come in here with some violence today because
I love that.
The committee got it right.
Tell them.
Tell us why.
So, what you have to look at, and Blaine alluded to this on the Sunday special beforehand, is we have seen Florida State without Jake Travis. And because we have seen what that is, there's nothing in the criteria that says going undefeated gets you into the top four, because there was 5. And at that point, the committee had to look at all of the teams and said Alabama is unequivocally better even with a loss.
So is Georgia unequivocally better than Washington?
But that's looking at conference championships.
No. Well, Florida State won a conference championship.
They did. And it's not that they didn't win a conference championship. It's that Alabama is unequivocally better than Florida State without Jordan Travis, because we have seen what Florida State looks like without him.
So let me ask you this, Sasha, let me ask you this. We saw Florida State play 2 games without Jordan Travis. They beat Florida by double digits, right? Then they beat Louisville by double digits. How can you sit here and say that a Florida State double-digit win on the road at Florida is somehow worse than Alabama having to get lucky to beat an Auburn team basically on a Hail Mary that just got their ass waxed by New Mexico State? Like, how do those two things add up? And listen, I'm the biggest Salt Lick guy of all time, so if you disagree with me, just please don't stop sending the barbecue sauce, because you know you're my guy. But how can you sit here and say did the committee get it right to put them in front of Georgia and Ohio State?
So, and this is what I think the committee did, is I think the committee said all 5 conference champions are deserving. And they voted on all 5 conference champions, and they ranked everybody else below them. And so we have to disregard everything that's below the conference champions. And they said, which of the 5 conference champions are the unequivocal best And I think that's what we got.
But they haven't done that in the past, right? We've seen teams, even last year with the Buckeyes, didn't even play in the conference championship, much less lose it and still be able to get in. The landscape is different every year. And Sasha, you're 100% on the right track, okay? But here, let me help you out a little bit. They didn't get it right because they can't get it right. There's no objective metrics. There's just all this subjectivity, and the criteria is not even rank ordered, for God's sakes. So when you start talking about, like, I've heard the worst phrase in sports is the best 4 teams. It's been the worst phrase in sports for several years because they can just say that and get to pick and choose who they want. But another phrase that I've heard year after year after year when it comes to the football playoff is win and you're in. Yep. That's a phrase that gets used every single year. Again, they get to use these phrases, win and you're in, when it's convenient. They get to use these phrases, 4 best team, when it's convenient. This year was the first time we've seen them go all the way down ballot to, oh, well, key injuries is part of the criteria, but how does it get weighed? We don't know. They can move it to the very top. They can do whatever they want. That's why I feel like they didn't get it right, because they can't get it right. What they did do, though, is they gave us what I think is going to be a more compelling playoff, which I think at the end of the day is what they see their job.
It's what, like, guys.
I think.
Go ahead, Sasha.
I think this is the thing that's going to hurt worse for the worst for Florida State is if you actually got somebody on the committee to do commentary on this. Is it's not that Jordan Travis went out. It's that Jordan Travis didn't go out in the championship game. The committee got to see what Florida State offense was like without him and then graded using that metric. If he would have gone out in the championship game against Louisville and they would have won by double digits and all of the other games had been the same, I think they'd have been in.
Well, it's again, though, like, are we saying, let me ask you this. If Auburn plays that Florida team on a neutral site, how much better is that Auburn team than the Florida team?
I mean,
with their backup?
With their backup.
I think we're playing pick'em there.
Now do Louisville. Auburn plays Louisville on a neutral site. How does that one go?
I think Auburn wins that game.
I don't think Auburn wins that game
as well.
I don't think Auburn wins that game. So I'm just sitting here saying, if we're going to say that a double-digit win with your backup quarterback on the road in a rivalry game in the Swamp, and then a double-digit win with your third-string quarterback, with basically a child at quarterback against a Louisville team that was 10-2 and had beaten Notre Dame, and we're sitting here saying this Louisville team's legit. We can't sit here on one hand and say Alabama's this great, unbelievable team because Auburn gifted you a win in the Iron Bowl when you barely snuck past them, but yet the Florida State win over Florida and then Louisville, it's not a good win. They're not a good football team. Like, here's what you got to go with. What David said, right? You put Bama in because it's a more compelling matchup and it was convenient. It's convenient because you're going to a 12-team playoff from a 14-team playoff, so you don't have to answer for it.
It's a more compelling matchup because Alabama is unequivocally better than Florida State.
Would Alabama have been a more compelling matchup against Michigan last year in the playoff? Sitting right where we're at. People would have said the same thing with Bryce Young. Would Alabama have been a more compelling matchup for Michigan last year? Yes, they would have. But guess what? TCU beat Michigan. That's why playing the game has to matter. That's the whole point we're missing. The game is played on the field. What happened last week, you know what matters? Is that you won a Power 5 conference championship. You're a Power 5 team. We can say if you're going to go that route, then Georgia should be in over Washington.
That's why I use the word compelling. That's why for the last couple of days I've used the word compelling and not just said it'll be a better matchup because no one knows how a game will go. Alabama could end up blowing out Michigan in this Rose Bowl that we're about to see, whereas Tate Rodemaker coming back for Florida State with that defense may be a better game. Yeah. I'm not saying that we're going to see a better game between Michigan and Alabama than we would have with Michigan and Florida State because I don't know that. I don't have a crystal ball, and Florida State's still a really, really good team. I'm using the word compelling on purpose, and part of that is brand, and let's be honest, part of that is the fact that Nick Saban is now in the play.
Yeah, it's money. That's what it comes down to. It is money.
That's 100%
Ratings
true.
is why they choose Alabama.
Yeah.
Like this college football is about money.
Yes.
The playoff committee wants to do this for money. How many eyes could they get to a screen? But let me ask you this. Do you think if TCU would have went undefeated, Max Duggan would have got hurt, that Bama would have got in front of TCU?
No, because Bama had 2 losses.
If Bama had one loss. Do y'all think they would have put that Bama team in front of TCU?
No.
I think they will.
I'd have to go back and look at the whole landscape. Again, there's many moving parts here. The biggest moving part this year was Texas beat Alabama. Because it was either you have to ignore the head-to-head or you have to ignore an undefeated champ. When Texas got in, or when Alabama got in, you had to bring Texas with them.
For sure.
That was the situation.
You couldn't justify not doing it.
That's why you saw 2 one-loss teams jump them. And look, again, I think a month from now we'll all be watching the playoff. And
Oh, we will. We'll love the game.
It'll sting a little bit, but it'll be great.
Sasha,
great call,
we appreciate it, buddy.
Great call, buddy.
And thanks for the barbecue sauce, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I want some.
Had it for the first time. It was awesome. Let's go to Chase in California. Chase, what's up?
Chase?
What's going on, boys? Morning.
Morning.
Hey.
First things first, congrats on Lady Ballers. Excellent film, excellent film.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm trying to be Batman in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to do a little Michael Scott for me here to the best of your abilities if you guys haven't done like so much research yet. Can you dumb down this NIL trust fund proposal thing for me?
Yeah, I wanted to be able to read the whole thing. The way I read it was it's almost like it's a start of a separation between like the who has money and the who doesn't have money. I wanted to let this whole thing come out and see the whole proposal. I think I know what the NCAA is doing. You see a lot of this in Congress. You see a lot of this in the law. It's where you put together a bill that has a bunch of extreme stuff in it that you want, like extremely on your side, and then you force them to kind of meet you in the middle. It's almost a negotiating tactic. But what I've seen, it's that or a last gasp effort from the NCAA to exert some type of power over college football or just screw it up. From what I've read so far, what it sounds like to me is that you can pay them without any educational purpose, right? Up to $30,000, something like that. But it's giving carte blanche to the university for how many scholarships you can have, for, regulating. You can have unlimited personnel if you can afford it. It is a dangerous thing to me. With NIL, I think we need to button this bad boy up a little bit before we start adding more freedoms. And this is coming from a guy that doesn't love red tape, that doesn't love regulations. But when you let Pandora out of the box with no rules, you don't just start taking away the few attachments you have to any sense of order.
Yeah, here's the article right here. NCAA President Charlie Baker proposed rule changes Tuesday that would allow Division I schools for the first time to pay their athletes in ways that are not tied to educational resources. Baker shared the proposed changes in a letter sent to member schools. If Division I schools choose to adopt the rules, they would be allowed to enter into name, image, and likeness deals directly with their athletes. The new rules would also create a new subdivision of Division I schools that would be allowed to create its own set of rules for recruiting, transfers, roster size, and a wide range of other policies.
I wonder who that would be, David.
Part of the subdivision, each school would have to put in millions of dollars each year into the trust fund.
I miss when we just pay kids under the table.
Yeah, can we just go back to legally paying them?
That's the part where I was like you, Jake, where I started thinking, okay, wait a minute, isn't this like going to create more separation?
Yeah, if you're going to separate, just separate.
Like, there's a handful of schools that applies to, right?
Yeah,
like
just
when they say Division I, we're not talking about freaking, a G5 school.
Yeah,
we're referring to Michigan, Alabama.
Well, everybody but Florida State. They're not going to let Florida State do it. Like, everybody but Florida State can do it. But no, listen, if you're going to separate the Group of Five and the Power Five, just go ahead and do it, bro. Just go ahead and do it. Clean break.
I would love to see a Group of Five tournament.
I would too.
I would love to see it. I would be just as enthralled watching that as I would watch Power Five.
You don't think that would be diminished? Like, that's my only thing for that is just like, it just feels like that would be like, hey, we won the national championship this year. Oh, and then it just feels like everybody would be like, oh, which one are we talking about?
No, because look, I grew up in Statesboro, Georgia, man, where Georgia Southern University is. They won the Division I AA championship like 4 or 5 times when I was growing up. Paul Johnson down there, the Adrian Peterson before the Adrian Peterson running back. Everyone knew Georgia Southern goes up to play Georgia with in Athens every other year. They'd get blown out. They'd go undefeated the rest of the year. They'd have a chance to win the Division I AA championship. It was awesome. Yeah. I don't know why now we expect all of these teams to compete for 4 spots.
Let me ask you this: why do you know who North Dakota State is, Chase?
Because of the D2 playoff.
Because they win every national championship, and it means so much to them.
Yeah.
I mean, and to me, I think you could have something where that group of 5 team, you winning up. Liberty goes undefeated a couple years, wins the national championship. You can move up to Power 5.
We do this in high school, too.
Yeah.
I won a 4A state title. I don't know if we would have beaten all the 5A teams. Who knows? But, we based on the size of the schools, we have different criteria.
I just miss having the excuse that Alabama just pays their players a lot more, and that's why.
You miss that excuse? Is that one you've been shouting for years and years?
Anymore. Yeah.
A&M took that away from everybody.
I can't do it.
Appreciate it, Chase.
You guys are popping off in recruiting right now, though, and yes.
Hey, we really are.
Hey, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm afraid to even bring it up.
Yeah,
everybody, listen, I'm upset about Florida State being left out, but now that 5-star safety that's committed to Florida State that's rethinking his commitment because they don't let y'all in the party.
Terry Thompson?
Not pissed about it.
Let's go get him.
Not pissed about it.
Thanks, Chase.
Appreciate it, Chase. Have a good day, bud.
Jonah in Idaho. Jonah, how you doing today?
You get out of that whale?
Hey, guys.
What's up, Jonah?
Yeah, it's first-time caller. It's hard to get up here in Idaho in time to catch the show live.
Well,
we're on bright and early, man.
Hey, we got a lot of love in Idaho.
You're a legend. What time is it?
Yeah, we got a lot of love in Idaho.
Well, I got up around 5, which I guess isn't terrible, but...
Look, that's early. And you don't sound super old, so with our generation, that's super duper early.
Hey, Jonah, you did the most important thing already today.
Yeah.
You got up.
Won the morning.
Right.
You got it.
You got up.
Well, first, just wanted to say I think leaving Florida State out is really a travesty.
I agree.
I'm just curious, have you guys seen the Mike Leach video on the committee?
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
As always.
The late, great.
Must-see TV. It was so good.
Well, dude, you should have seen what it was like to interview him. Like, you just talk about, he would just walk in, like, some coaches walk in, they're like, sit down like the king of England walking in there. Mike Leach just walked in there and was like, hey, man, let me see that bat.
Yeah, let me see that American flag.
Like, we talked more about Pirates. Than
we
football.
forgot to talk about football for the first 15 minutes of our life.
I forgot what my job was.
He was talking about teaching Cone how to train his kid with a laser pointer.
Yeah, he said, get a laser pointer, make your kid run around, it'll tire him out.
Yeah,
I was dying that
genius.
entire interview.
Yeah, he's amazing. Main thing I wanted to talk about, though, is just the Huskies. I'm a Husky fan, so...
Yeah.
Most shows that I've watched have Texas winning, and but part of the thing that's weird to me is they're the higher seed, but they have to travel basically to Texas's home court. They're all the way down in Louisiana, so people are just watching Twitter, having a hard time getting tickets and things. So I don't know how much that will play into it, but what shot do you guys think, or what strategy
isn't it
Washington
split?
take to?
Aren't ticket sales split?
Well, yes, they're split, but you got to understand the convenience of getting
100%.
there. It's a lot easier to. I was talking to Jonah, but it's a lot easier to get to Louisiana from Texas than it is from Washington. Not that Washington isn't going to travel; they've got a really big base. I know that, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think this plays to Washington's advantage. I think Washington all year, what is the one team that we really haven't talked about a ton in this Final Four? Washington's just kind of been hanging out. That when we talk about Washington, it's like, oh, well, if the 4 best teams should get in, then Georgia would be favored over Washington. Why isn't Georgia in? I think this plays perfectly to who Washington is. They were the underdog to Oregon twice, and you beat them twice. You went undefeated. It wasn't pretty all the time, but you found ways to win. I think Coach DeBoer has kind of used this to galvanize his guys, and Washington's good enough to beat Texas. But hey, guess what, guys? Nobody talks about us. Nobody gives us any credit. Our conference is folding. We're having to go to a new conference, and now we got to take our ass from Washington down all the way to Louisiana to play against Texas. I guess it is us against the world. I think that Kalen has one of the best arguments, and you should be motivated to play in this game, but the chip on the shoulder argument may benefit Washington. Now, when it comes to the game, to me, the biggest matchup is what's always the biggest matchup. It's up front. Everybody's going to talk about Penix and Ewers. Everybody's going to talk about Xavier Worthy and Rome and McMillan and Polk and those guys. But you know what they're not going to talk about? The pass protection. That's what I think this comes down to. Can Washington's offensive line, which I believe, and I'm sure you probably believe, have punched above their weight for most of the year, hold up against this Texas front seven that's pretty good, because we know Texas's offensive line is one of the tops in the country when it comes down to protecting their quarterback. Just ask anybody that plays at Alabama. But I think there's a sneaky avenue for Washington here to kind of take that underdog mindset, and this does nothing but reinforce that.
Well, Jonah, in years past, this would have been the Rose Bowl, right? This would have been Michigan, Washington in the Rose Bowl with the Big Ten and the Pac-12 against each other. And that's what we would have gotten had Georgia won, because they would have remained the 1 seed.
Yeah.
When Michigan went to 1, they got to decide where they want to play. Michigan's always going to want to play in the Rose Bowl, so you guys have to travel. But I agree with everything that Jake said, and Blaine said it several days ago. This will probably be the more entertaining of the playoff matchups.
It's going to be a hell of a football.
This could be a 50-something to 50.
And what a lot of people don't think, like Washington, like they're a sneaky good run team too. And it's like they've had like both times they played Oregon, they had over 100 rushing.
Well, that's their counter. That's Washington's counter.
So that's the interesting thing to me. So Texas, one of the best front 7 defense in stopping the run. They're a top 5 defense. How much will Washington attempt to run this game? They put it all on Penix.
That's true. Well, Washington has the great ability to spit the ball out quick and supplement their run game with that. That part of their run game is that quick screen game out to those wide receivers, and you're getting the ball in your best players' hands more. So they actually, having a great run defense doesn't really help you out that much against Washington. You'd much rather have an unbelievable pass rush than an unbelievable run defense when it comes to a bunch of guys that can two-gap against the run, as opposed to guys that can get off the edge and go get the quarterback. But that, to me, is the biggest matchup.
Hey, Jonah, I want to hear from you every week before this game, okay? Call in every week, man.
It's surprising to me that.
Go ahead.
It's just real surprising to me that Washington's still the underdog after they beat Oregon. But
we'll embrace it. This is us.
It's the best thing that could happen to you.
Yeah, this is
the
us.
best thing that could happen.
Be favored.
Yeah,
right.
trust
me. I think it's a good thing.
Worked out against.
Hey, enjoy Idaho, man. It's pretty up there, dude.
Yeah.
I wonder how cold it is up there right now.
All right, Jonah, thank you, buddy.
Okay. We got Kara in Dallas, Texas. Kara, how you doing?
I've had better days.
What did Blaine do?
I didn't do it.
Blaine did it.
Nope.
No, I apologize for my voice squeaking out, but I was actually at the ACC championship game representing and watching my Noles win another game.
Yeah.
I also was in the room when they got told and left out. So,
wow.
It's pretty gutting to watch a bunch of players who have boots on their legs and take them off for game days and ball out, and then told that winning doesn't matter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's pretty awful. Yeah, it's pretty awful for the game to have a quarterback who said that he wishes his leg broke sooner.
Yeah.
To show the case of this team. So it's just like, and just from a Florida State perspective, I think what's really tough is that if you're going to talk about unequivocally, as that word has been thrown around this morning, if you're going to talk about unequivocally and go through power rankings, Florida State would have 4 losses this year.
Yeah.
So,
well, the game's played on the field.
Starting with LSU. So I think just from a Florida State perspective, like for us, I think why, people tease or make fun of them for being so angry. But I think the big thing, first and foremost, is just gutted for those players.
Yeah.
Like, I will say also, at the game, I don't know if they've talked about this too, but like Tatum Bethune, our linebacker, he literally got hurt at towards the beginning of the game, went into the medical tent. They put a knee brace on him and he's crying on the sidelines. And our DC, Adam Fuller, goes over to him and goes, "You are built for this." Mm-hmm. And so he goes back out and he ends up breaking up a touchdown saving pass and then intercepts it the next play later in the game. And he's sitting there on the field after the game crying, saying, we did it. And every chance and every time they got it, they got the opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
So that for Florida State fans, and then that's when we get upset for them when, pundits laugh and say, why is Florida State taking it so personally? Well,
yeah. Anybody who would say that doesn't understand how the game game works. Kara, I'll say this. Listen, I'm not one to sit here and say, everything's fair for everybody all the time. Everybody should get every break. But we weren't comparing even entities when you were looking at Florida State and Alabama. If Alabama was 12-1 and Florida State was 12-1, or Alabama was undefeated and Florida State was undefeated and they took Alabama ahead of Florida State, okay. Yeah. I think the players could understand that more. Not that you'd accept that, not that you'd want that, but the fact that Alabama lost, you lost. Not only did you lose, you lost at home. You lost by double digits with your starting quarterback. and that's not held against them when Florida State wins every single one of their games. We're not comparing even entities. That's where I think it went off the rails. And that's the part that you're talking about with the linebacker that the people don't see. They just see that the name flash up on the graphic. This team got in, that team didn't get in. The amount of adversity, which to me, and I think Gus Malzahn said this unbelievably well in his press conference yesterday, part of being a team, a championship caliber team, is your ability to galvanize and overcome adversity. That's why we always say that football is one of the greatest teachers of life, because it teaches you how to overcome adversity. But now all you've done is say, regardless of overcoming adversity, your optics weren't as good as the other team's optics, so you don't get in, and it's a beauty contest. So, Kara, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. And just one point to that, the optics thing's a little bit strange to me because they conveniently leave out that Alabama down the stretch was just unstoppable. But you kind of watch in the middle of the season, you watch them play a really bad Arkansas team. They didn't look good. And
almost got beat.
You also had you had your starting quarterback for that. That's another point. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm a little mad at you for Auburn.
Yeah. Oh, no, look, you're mad? Oh, my God. You're mad? I threw up twice.
Now I have to go watch it. Right? Now I have to go watch Alabama win these football games.
Yeah.
And probably win the Natty. So I can throw up in my hands later.
Right. It's pretty awful. But no, I just wanted to say that I love listening to you guys every morning. It's a lot of fun. Blaine, I am going to be a little against you on the fact that you keep dogging Florida State towards the end. So I was like, it's okay, but I'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, well, look, it sucks. I know, but I'm not saying this is what I would have done.
No, you were just being honest. You had them at 4 in your
Blaine,
this is what I would have put Florida State in. It's decided on the field and subtracted to the 9. But I just knew what the committee was going to do. I've seen this. Look, I've seen Mission Impossible 6 times, and he keeps doing the impossible. Right? Every movie.
Fast and the Furious. The cops
what the committee was going to do, but you brought it up with the things they don't see, the two-a-days, getting up at 5 in the morning. Just the what goes in and out of being an athlete and leaving it all on the field and doing everything you're supposed to do, checking every box that's on the list. And some guys who are just in a hotel room, probably eating finger foods and asking about what horse they're going to bet on later in the day, are the guys who get to decide it. That's the disgusting thing about college football.
I never want to hear the phrase "win and you're in" again.
Yeah, I never want to hear that ever.
Great call.
Well,
yes.
And lastly, they have, it's not Power 5 anymore. It's actually, if you look at the matchups, it's Power 2, Big Ten versus SEC.
Yeah, well, we got Power 4 now, right? With the Pac-12 being gone, we got Power 4 now.
Yeah.
Well, you have Texas going to the SEC next year, and you have Washington going to the Big Ten. So really, it's Power 2 in the Final Four.
That's and it's gonna eventually be that.
Appreciate it, Kara.
Thank you, Kara, so much.
Great call.
All right. Gonna get to donos. You want to go bets first?
We do it every day, baby. Let's go bets and donos.
Well, I'm just trying to give you more time. All right. Here's what I got. 2-0 yesterday. Wisconsin, thank you. Tennessee, thank you against George Mason. I expect you to beat one guy that bad. 1 by 21. Here's what I got tonight. We're sticking with college hoops. All right. Give me Miami, LIU over 155. I think Miami may score 110 points tonight. That's going off at minus 110. Then I'm going to dive a little bit deeper. Give me Toledo on the money line at Oakland. All right, not the A's. Well, they're the only team left in Oakland. It seems Oakland University. Give me them at a pick'em at minus 112. So Toledo minus 112. Give me the Miami. LIU over 155. Let's see if we can't go 4-0.
All right, boys. 0-2 yesterday. Thought North Carolina could keep it closer with UConn. That was not the case. I'm going to take Miami minus 28.5. That's minus 110. And then Houston's playing tonight as well. I'm going to take them minus 28 at minus 108.
All right, I love it. 1-1 yesterday. It's not good enough. Give me Texas plus 8.5. It's going off at minus 112. They got Marquette on the road.
Oh, what a game.
And then give me, I'm going to run DePaul to cover 19.5 against Texas A&M on the road. That's going off at minus 110. Look, basketball's on the way, guys.
It's on the way. We're about to dive into it deep.
There's no stopping. All right, let's get to some donos here. Marie with the $20 dono. Marie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I was at the Pac-12 Championship, and Washington fans really turned up more than Oregon fans. Washington fans provides one of the best atmosphere in college football, and also it's Asgard, not Osgard.
What did I say? I said Asgard?
Yeah,
well, it just depends on what part of Jotunheim you're from.
I don't know what you are talking about.
You don't know Thor?
But by the way, Washington's got unbelievable fan
hammer.
support. Believe me, they all hated
lot of
me
people.
after I picked Oregon in the first game. And then they put me in the hype video.
Well, it's just like people saying, well, Texas, well, it is in Louisiana. So it's going to be a trip for both. Washington fans turn up now. Washington fans show out.
Wait, are we really going to argue what Louisiana?
I know geographically, I get it, but I'm saying Washington fans have shown out before in a lot of different places.
Oh, I'm not saying they're not, but just, it's when I can get in my car and go drive somewhere in a decent amount of time as opposed to flying from one end of the country to the other end, that is a problem.
There's flat. So FE3 Shake and Bake with a $10 donation. We had 7 teams with a legit argument for the CFP, but only 4 spots. It was a decision of who do we leave out and why, not who do we put in. No way to make everybody happy.
There was a way. You say we have a 6-teamer this year. Who would get mad about that? Find one person who'd be like, no, 6-team playoff this year?
The SEC.
Hell, no, the SEC.
The ACC, excuse me.
Yeah, no, I was about to say the SEC.
For the year, it's been playoff. No,
the ACC would be happy because Florida State would be in.
You know what's crazy about that, though? Even if we had a 6-team playoff this year, the Buckeyes, who were ranked number 1 in the first college football playoff, would be left out of that because they lost by 6 points on the road at Michigan.
And they're in your division.
We're all okay with that.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
But
that
would be awful.
Yeah,
that would be all. If you had a 16 playoff and they still can't get in, let's
just have a 24 team.
No,
29 and a half teams.
Listen,
we're going to pull up a D2 school.
Every team makes the play. No.
All right, let's go to Steve Action Figure Frenzy with a $10 donation. Steve, appreciate it, brother. Question.
Yes.
In the tip-off between Cone and PJ, since Cone tipped the ball, we're talking about lady ball this year, since Cone tipped the ball to an actual lady, does that mean PJ won the tip-off? Cone, you should have shared the Buckeyes. I saw the picture on Twitter, and I'm upset that I'm not eating any.
It's like Vince Vaughn said, those Buckeyes were a gift. I'm taking them with me. Yeah. Buckeyes do honor their bets. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. I had one last night. I am going to save a bag for the boys here.
I've never had one before.
A little peanut butter and chocolate.
And also, don't forget.
So it's like a Reese's.
It looks like Brutus's head. It looks like Bruce's head.
Is that all?
I don't want anybody to forget quickly.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to forget quickly. Jake and David will be eating sardines and Nutella next week.
Like I said, look,
it's Nutella.
That's just
not
lunch.
Nutella.
That's just lunch. I think I brought some with me. But the tip-off, we went back and forth with the script writers about that because they're like, well, you have to lose the tip-off. I'm like, I'm not losing the tip-off to Justine.
Yeah, you can't.
Like,
There's no
have
coming
to
back
tip it
from
to one of the
David,
ladies.
Justine beat you in the tip. It's cool. Like, we accept you.
Like, my job is to get up there and tip the ball and win the ball. Y'all's job as guards is to catch the ball. You didn't do that. You let the girl do it. Blame you.
Well, it's actually a job of where you need to tip the ball to.
And I tipped it right there.
Especially when you go to get some.
But you know what? You're over there too busy. You're too busy over there whispering in a girl's ear that you're a lesbian. Why don't you get your head in the game?
I'm a huge lesbian.
I'm lesing out the most.
I mean,
but you did propose to
I'm Leslie McGuire, right?
I was proud you did the right thing at the end.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Did you just say I'm Leslie McGuire?
Yeah, I'm Leslie McGuire.
Oh, my God. That's a good one.
Thank you. Let's go to Shane Bentley with a $5 donation. What's up, Shane? To the first caller, you said that committee got it right until your team's left out. The tables were turned. FSU doesn't jump Bama.
No, 100%. If Bama would not have been left. Look, I'm not going to blame Alabama.
This isn't Alabama.
This isn't Alabama's fault. If I'm an Alabama fan, I'd be like, yeah, they got it right. If I'm a Florida State fan, I'm like, no, they got it wrong. I'm looking at it just from the outside looking in with no affiliation with either one of them. But I'm not going to get mad at you for saying your team got in and they should have, or your team was left out and they shouldn't have been. That's
well, now that I think about it, Sasha was the first caller. He said they got it right. He hates Texas, doesn't he? Didn't he lose the bet with you that Texas would go 7-5?
Maybe.
I think Sasha's a Texas A&M fan. So if he thinks they still got it right with Texas in there, at least he's trying to be objective.
No, I appreciate it.
Let's go to Justin Alferreira with a $2 donation. Justin, thank you. Thoughts on Penn State's new offensive coordinator?
Man,
what's that guy's
it's
Kotelnicki.
Yeah, it's from
Kotelnicki.
Kansas. I think it's good. I think it's going to be a more diverse offense. This isn't going to be your typical Penn State pro style. Just slow, monotonous offense. You're going to get a lot of motion. You're going to be able to move the pocket. What I'm interested to see
and put that on the soundboard
is how he uses Drew Aller.
Yeah.
In this system. That's
they
what
come out there just.
But you talk about putting pressure on safeties. Woo! There ain't been more pressure on the safeties since somebody surprised you with a gun when you had one.
All right, let's go to Beatles Dork 127 with a $5 donation. Go blue. What was that Badger humping, David? But most importantly, bring MLB to SLC.
MLB.
Yes. Bring it to SLC.
You bring it to
SLC.
SLC.
Should write in a philosophy book.
That is good.
All right, that is all the donations for today.
Oh,
If I missed your donation, but first, quickly, I want to get this. I got sent this by Sasha.
I thought
Sasha.
I thought Swanee sent.
Swanee, excuse me. Chad D. Swanberg. Swanee, what's up, brother? Grit, really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate the note you left me, too. I feel the same way about you, dude. Keep balling out, man.
So hot.
Keep balling out.
Agreed, but I got something extra. I got grit, and I got a Rangers Championship World Series shirt.
Good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I didn't want that. So he
World Series champ.
He said I didn't want that.
He asked me if I wanted that, and I was like, no, man, I'm good.
Huh?
I'm good.
No, I don't think he did ask you.
I don't think he did.
He did ask me.
I don't think he
if I
did.
wanted that.
Okay.
Swanee, thank you so much, dude. I can't wait to read this book.
Thanks, Swanee.
All right, let's get to the poll. Who should win the Heisman? Jayden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, or Blaine Crain?
No, you didn't.
I'm going to say Jayden Daniels, 64%.
Did you really put yourself in there as a fourth?
I did.
Or did you just put other? Because that's different.
No, it's myself. I got eligibility left.
Now I'm trying to figure out how much you colluded with the chat to get your numbers up. Is it?
Collusion, David, me?
Look, Jayden Daniels, what percent did you say?
64.
64, 65.
Bo Nix, 6%.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Penix, 12%. Blaine Crain, 15%. Jayden Daniels, 68%.
Wow.
You got 15% in there.
So basically,
You did have a great
I'm the
year.
second best player in college football. And the only reason why people say I'm not winning
It's because you're Achilles.
my Achilles.
Wow.
We
North
appreciate
Alabama, man.
We appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe. If you haven't checked out Lady Ballers, go check it out on Daily Wire Plus. It's the #1 streaming movie in the world. What's up?
$2 donation for Maria. She said Blaine Payton Thorne is the next Cam Newton. No, he's not.
Yeah, right.
Maybe at Blaine College.
Bring Will Howard. Anyways, we appreciate you guys. Like I said, make sure you check out all our great sponsors as well. We have shows for you tomorrow and Friday. They will not be live, but they will be there, and it's a lot of fun. We're going to review our predictions from early before the college football season tomorrow. That one gets awfully physical. And like the chances, hopefully, of Sasha not being mad at me and still sending barbecue sauce. We're going.
Wow. You catch, kid.
Gone. I should win the Heisman.